Okay, welcome to the criteria tutorial for Diagnostics 3.0. In this section, we're going to be going over the criteria part of diagnostics and how to navigate around and find a diagnosis and how to get information on the diagnosis. Primarily, this is the original diagnostics software program. So we've added a lot to it, obviously, which we'll talk about as we go through the tutorials. But in this tutorial, this kind of overviews the classic diagnostics. The first part is determining or finding a diagnosis. These are marked in tabs for you in this tab section. First one being category. Next one is alphanumeric select, marked, a name category, code category, and a find category. So let's talk about the general category first. All the DSM-4 diagnoses are included in a category. And these categories are listed for you here. So if I select any of the diagnostic categories, it lists the diagnoses within that category. So if I select eating disorders, for example, it lists all the eating disorders. If I select child disorders, it includes all the disorders that are included in all the childhood, adolescent, and infant disorders that you may find in the DSM-4. And basically, it just lists everything by category. And you can, of course, select any of these once you find the one you're interested in. So if you're interested in dissociative disorders and you're interested in dissociative fugue, you click that and it finds information on that particular diagnosis. The alphanumeric select is similar, except that you're just clicking on a letter that the diagnosis that you have interest in starts with. So if I'm interested in diagnoses that start with the letter T, I click on T and it lists all the diagnostic names for the disorders that start with T. So if I'm interested in Tourette's disorder, it's an easy way to find that. Marked diagnoses, any diagnoses that you've marked as you've been working in diagnostics will be listed in this section, and they'll be listed alphanumerically. So let's say in categories, I'm interested in depersonalization disorder, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom and click marked. You notice the check mark associated with depersonalization. Say I'm interested in dissociative amnesia, dissociative disorders in OS, dissociative fugue, and dissociative identity disorder. Now when I go back to the Mark tab, it lists all those diagnoses that I've marked. So as you're working with rule outs in other parts of the program, this mark section comes in very handy because you can select the diagnoses that you have interest in, and it helps you kind of target and focus on specific diagnoses that you may want to switch back and forth between. You'll notice the red X button as well. That removes that diagnosis from the list. Basically, it unmarks it. So dissociative identity disorder, if I wanted to unmark it, I can click that red button and say yes, and it removes it. Basically what it's doing is it's unmarking it. Same thing if I have dissociative fugue and I unmark it here, it accomplishes the same thing. The other tab is alphabetical by name. It scrolls from A down to, I believe it's V with voyeurism. Next one is code, from the smallest code number up to the highest code number. And of course, alphabetical or lettered names come last in numeric order. And then one of the new features is the find function. So if I click in here and I type in something that I have interest in looking at, maybe BIP for bipolar disorder, it should list all the bipolar disorders. So again, it's another way to help you find diagnoses you have interest in. So let's go back to the category section. We'll click on anxiety. Let's say I have interest in acute stress disorder. If I select that, the rest of these tabs are now influenced by that selection. First one is the full criteria. We've included in diagnostics a web-based search feature that goes out and finds information at behavenet.com on acute stress disorder. One of the reasons we did this was to allow you to have some of the web functions that are associated with finding information on the internet. One of those benefits is over here with language translation. Let's say you don't speak English, let's say you speak Russian. What will happen now is Google will translate that BehaveNet website into Russian and now if you read Russian, you can now read about that disorder in your language. So one of the benefits of having internet access in the software program is evident. We've included, in addition to English, 7 languages. We selected those languages based upon the countries that had purchased diagnostics 2.5 and 2.0. Most of the people purchasing this software in other countries were represented in these other languages, or by these other languages. We also included diagnostic information in the Wikipedia. I've still got it in the Russian translation. It's kind of cool. Goes out and interprets or lists the information about acute stress disorder in the Russian language. I'm going to go back to English. So you can now read an encyclopedia entry on this. This is kind of a layman's version rather than a clinician's version. Sometimes clinicians need that. Criteria highlights just include some of the diagnostic highlights that was present before. New updated priorities and differentials for acute stress disorder. That's included here. You also have category key points. So any of the key points associated with the category of diagnoses that acute stress disorder is a part of, and that of course would be anxiety disorders. Here's 3 key points about anxiety disorders. And the big one is treatment plans. Treatment plans, goals and interventions, short, medium, long term. You can get information off there to use in other parts of the program. Also included are a list of psychotherapies in case you're interested in reading more about how to work with that particular disorder. You can look up information at Wikipedia regarding different types of therapy. Crosswalks from DSM-4 to the ICD-9 and also to the ICD-10. What sorts of translations or what sorts of crosswalks you may be looking at in other nomenclature. Let's see, and then the last one, of course, is research at PubMed. What's unique about this is any disorder I select, it'll go out and look on PubMed for research on that particular topic. So if you have clicked user selected diagnosis, our current diagnosis is acute stress disorder. It goes out and looks for acute stress disorder at PubMed. And you can order these articles if you're interested. You can also type in your own topic, say on depression, update the entry, and now it looks for information at PubMed on depression. So you can go back and forth between disorders you're looking at or a topic that you have personal interest in. So that's pretty much it for the criteria section, and hope you have a good time using it.